arriving in the Abaco Islands.
5 young boys create a rescue trampoline.
The first to run a marathon in under 2 hours.
We have seen what we thought was unseeable.
A relay of dogs will lead blind runner Tom Panic across the finish line.
Nicolas Mahut lost in the French Open, but then his 7-year-old son ran onto the cart to give his dad a big hug.
Her and her sister have been heroes for many little girls out there.
I want to thank my amazing mom. She's my hero.
I love you.
Exactly what I was thinking.
When you are free to be you, it is the best feeling in the world.
He's the Sully Sullenberger of pizza.
My family is making a grant to eliminate their student loans.
We know deep down what's right and what's needed.
I'm going to fight this.
Who says I can't? Nobody! Here it comes. Never been done in competition. The category is love, y'all. Love!
Use your heart, your courage and vision to fix, to heal, to empathize, to connect. Because living life as something bigger than yourself is a hero's journey.
Hello, everyone watching from all over the world. Thank you so much for tuning into the Power Up Hero Show, a show all about you. Yes, you right there, you being the hero of your own story. And I am just thrilled to welcome Megan to the show. Hi, Megan.
Hey, Lisa.
I'm gonna give you some high fives. I don't know if you can give me high fives too.
I always
I knew that would happen. That's why I did that. I'm so excited you're here, Megan, because you know how we've always talked about writing, and we've always talked about how awesome it would be to have a book, and people would read your book and you would be telling your story or whatever story, right? Today is all about writing. I'm so excited. And you typically don't even know anything about the shows, do you?
I don't. So I'm really excited to see who our person is. Sometimes if you throw it out there on Facebook, I'll know, or if you just say it out loud to somebody else, then I kind of know. But I do my best not to go and research because I tend to have a lot of questions. So I want the questions to come naturally, and I want to be able to pick her brain because she's probably got a super special storyteller brain.
Yes.
And I think that's where the heart of a lot of effectiveness comes from, is effective storytelling. So I hope that she has a lot of insight to give us on who she is, what she does, and how she uses her gift to get to others.
How to get to others. I'm actually most excited because our guest today, we're going to introduce her formally later, but she's a ghostwriter. I mean, when I think of ghostwriters, I think of the people who write I mean, I'm not trying to say Barack Obama didn't write his book, but I'm pretty sure he had help, right? So I think of people like our guests are the ones behind the scenes, making sure that the books are perfect, or even writing the whole entire book, right? So, I mean, I'm just super excited that we have somebody coming on who we may not even ever know how much they've done in our community in terms of authorship, right? And I would even be bold to say that all of us have superpowers in some way or another, right, Megan? We've all had struggles and we've all had to overcome something in our lives. And I always like to think the stories that we tell are really what makes you be remembered, right? So if your story is written somewhere, then people will always remember forever, right? That so-and-so existed and this happened. And I think we always look at our history, and it's important to start to document these things, right?
I think you're 100% right. It's the stories that we tell that leave the legacy behind, that legacy that we've been talking about for a really long time.
Yep.
And then I remember we always used to say in Toastmasters that our stories should smell less like libraries and more like real life, because when you begin to translate your story into real life terms, that's when you get that connection that you've been waiting for. And so it's through that connection that we really are able to reach people, and you never know who's listening. You never know who needs what at what time in their life. And so whatever story you have, somebody needs to hear it.
Exactly. And that message may be given, but then your voice may be the voice that one person needed. And I have to say that you're the one who kind of told me about that quote of like, your stories should not smell like a library, right? So they should be like real life. They should make your stories come to life. So so I love that you reminded me of that. I literally can see you right now standing in front of us telling us that. And I remember that feeling I had of, that makes so much sense. It should be like real life. It shouldn't be like a library. I'm walking into a library. So let me go ahead and I guess get the show started, because I'm sure everybody watching right now is like, I want to learn how to write a book. I want to learn how to get published. I want to learn how to tell my story. And I'm sure our guest today is going to be able to give us some information on that. And by the way, bonus, we have a guest who is a PowerUp kid, and she's going to be telling us all about a book, actually 2 books that she's written. So I'm super excited to be able to reveal our first PowerUp kid that we are publishing. So we all know that our world needs heroes today more than ever before. But I want to tell you, the person who's sitting right here to my, I guess you could say this is my right-hand side. She is really what I call a hero in my life in terms of helping me tell my story, being able to see me and help me almost show me like a mirror of where I can do well in my life. And I think that's what we look for, right? We look for opportunities where you have a hero in your life. So Megan, thank you so much for being my hero. And yay! But I also want to mention that we really do have a powerful person with us, because Megan's all about passion, perseverance, and purpose. And so I know that this show today is going to be really helpful, because I know Megan has a book inside of her. There's so many things that Megan has gone through that I'm like, there's a book there. They come from Robstown, there's a book in there, okay? So y'all don't be surprised if we're going to be celebrating Megan's Amazon book launch coming up pretty soon after this show. So today we're elevating an amazing woman, and we're shining a spotlight on not only her award-winning and outstanding work that she has done in the writing industry, but also her ability to tell stories and just be an awesome person, an all-around great person to be around. And she has worked all over the world in multiple platforms. Her name is Wendy Strain. Wendy is a ghostwriter, editor, writing consultant, a publisher with more than 20 years of experience in the industry. She has worked with entrepreneurs, business owners, consultants, and she helps capture their expertise to expand their messages so that they can succeed faster. Wendy says that by incorporating quality storytelling through your brand, you can attract more people naturally and enjoy the process more thoroughly and highlight your uniqueness fully. So we already told you that Wendy's award winning. So she has won multiple awards, but she's also a fiction author. So she works with high quality novelists, I guess you could say, to communicate imagination in a polished and entertaining way. So without any further ado, if we had a drum roll, if we had confetti, I want to welcome our PowerUp hero of storytelling, Wendy Strain. Welcome, Wendy.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, we're so excited you're here. Oh my goodness, I'm so pumped you're here, because I know the power that you have in terms of your, I guess, your gift with writing, right? You have an amazing gift. And so welcome to the show, and congratulations on being nominated.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. And what you guys had to say about writing is so true. I mean, it's so important to share your story and get it out there.
It really is. And I'm hoping that our show today will hopefully inspire someone to self-publish. I think in this day and age, anyone can publish a book. But if they need to have a highly polished book, get in touch with you, right? So they can find out how to get that book done fast, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Megan, we're going to go right into it and ask Wendy. Wendy, tell us about yourself. Tell us who you are. And we already kind of said what you do for a living, but feel free, tell us more about what you do for a living.
Well, like you said, I am a ghostwriter, and so I focus a lot on writing other people's stories. We talk about what they've been through, what they've learned from that experience, and how they want to share it. And so we get that all captured up into a nicely polished, free-flowing book that captures their personality and their story at the same time. And like you were saying earlier, depending on how you tell your story, it might apply to someone who has read similar story before, but it didn't really resonate for them. But the way that you tell it, the personality you bring to it, is what resonates for them. And that's what helps them overcome whatever difficulties they might be overcoming that's similar to your story. So I love doing that. I love helping people find their voices and rise above the stories that they've overcome. Sometimes just telling the story, just the process of telling the story, whether they publish it or not, is very therapeutic, and it helps them overcome whatever trauma they might have been through, or it just helps them firm up what their expertise really is.
Oh, Megan, did you hear what she said? Oh my gosh. So Wendy, you said like even just the process of getting that book out is therapeutic.
Yep.
I love the word therapy. I don't know why. Like it just feels like chocolate sometimes.
Well, I've had some writers that they don't even publish their book. The benefit of writing their book was just in the process of writing it and being able to see their story and reframe what happened to them.
Yeah.
And be able to see it from a different perspective. So.
Wow. Okay, so I'm actually going to like zoom in because I want to kind of like, so I've known Wendy for a while, okay? So Wendy and I were at Texas A&M University Corpus Christi together. And so Wendy, do you want to kind of like, I guess, tell everybody how we know each other a little bit more?
Well, we met each other at the incubation center where I was head of the writing department down there. And so I was helping businesses get started. And every piece of writing material that a business had to do came through my desk. And that's how Lisa and I met, was you were starting a business at the time. So we were going through your materials and figuring out how to shape that and make it really shine and communicate what you were trying to say.
Can I tell you something? Megan, you don't forget the people who helped you.
No, you don't.
The way.
Yeah.
And when I met Wendy, I remember thinking to myself, like, this person exists. It was like going to the doctor for the first time and being like, the doctor helped me, you know? So Wendy, your work is amazing. You know, we're talking about you writing books for people, but not only do you write books, you also do what you said, right? So you help people just pretty much just have a cohesion to their story, to what their brand even, right? Like just help them figure out, like, how is your brand resonating with people?
Yeah, and what is your brand story? What is it about your brand that makes you stand out in the marketplace? And how do you serve your customers? And that's really the key. How do you serve your customers? Because it's all about service. If you're not helping people, you're not really, I don't know, it's harder to market yourself because you're not helping people. When you help people, that brings you alive. And that's what really makes everything shine.
And you know what's interesting, as you're talking about that, a lot of people might think that this is writing books is for people who are entrepreneurs, but I also feel like maybe just this process would be good for somebody growing in a career. Maybe they have a job and they want to be able to understand how do they fit where they're at? What is their career? Because sometimes in your job, you don't get the feedback that you need to really know what you're good at so that you can become better at it, right? Because why waste time trying to get good at something that you would never be great at, right? Get really great at something that you're good at. So I feel like I need a Wendy session again so that I can activate my brand and like figure out who I am. But okay, so on with the show. We really want to know a lot about you. But one of the things I did want to ask you was I think you work with your husband, don't you?
I do.
Oh.
My he does.
Tell me about that. Tell me
You
about
have the green screen because he does video production. And so when I work on some of the brands that I work with, they're not exactly interested in writing a book. They're just interested in getting their brand story out better.
Okay.
And in some cases that means video. And so we do some video production and he helps me with writing the video scripts and getting those all put together and then putting them, kind of splicing all the pieces together so that it flows into a nice story. And we give that back to the brand. And now they suddenly have advertising material and they have a way to tell their brand story without writing anything, without anybody reading anything. It's all online.
I love it. And who doesn't love video now? I feel like everything is video, right? Like who wants to read? Like not okay, here I am like saying who wants to read. But like your husband's doing the other side of the equation of instant gratification world, right? Where it's like, okay, tell me what I need to know, right? That's why we love Audible. So this is really good that you kind of did that. But I want to know, you're both in this space of writing and storytelling. So I want to hear from you. How did you get started with storytelling? How did you get started with writing? Was English your favorite subject when you were a kid growing up? Tell us, how did you get into this work?
It absolutely was my favorite thing growing up. My very first story was in 3rd grade. I wrote a story about a strawberry, and I was sitting under my grandmother's willow tree next to a little babbling brook as I wrote my story about my strawberry. Things didn't turn out well for the strawberry, unfortunately, but things turned out well for me. I went ahead and majored in English through school, all the way through my master's degree. I've done many things with it. I've been a newspaper journalist. I've owned newspapers. I've taught business writing. I worked in the incubation center for a while, helping businesses grow. And I've been a ghostwriter through it all. And I started ghostwriting when I was a newspaper journalist. And one of the people I was interviewing for the newspaper, it was Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And the person I was interviewing had just been fired from a city job for being an abuser. And that was when he realized he was an abuser. He went and got therapy for it, and he wanted to write a book about what that was like. And he was trying to help other people recognize when they were an abuser, because he never knew until this crisis hit. And he was trying to help other people, usually men, figure out when you're an abuser and when to go to help, and that it wasn't as scary as you might think. And so he asked me to help him write his book, and that was my very first writing project. And I've kind of been doing it off and on since then. I've been full-time for 7 years now.
Oh my God. You just like slid that in there. Wow. That just sounds like an epic story of
no kidding.
Like discovery. Oh my gosh. And it was you, right? So I guess even the therapeutic process of this person having to tell you their story. So, okay, now that we're talking through the story, so we're talking about ghostwriting, right? So when you wrote the book, it was his name was the author. You wrote the book though, right? That's ghostwriting, right?
Yes. In that instance, I interviewed him. He was already going through therapy. I was not his therapist.
Okay.
But he was going through therapy. He'd been through some therapy already, and he was ready to tell his story. And so I would interview him. I would transfer those interviews into an outline and a story. Then I wrote the book. He approved all the steps along the way. The outline, what material went in, what material we left out, because there was some things that we left out.
Yeah.
He approved the final copy. I polished it up for him. I formatted it for him, and he published it, and it's under his name.
Wow.
So that's how it works. Okay. So the process is not that that the person needs to even know anything about writing. Do you do like audio interviews, or is it over the phone, or do you meet face to face? Well, now with COVID, probably not.
Yeah.
Like, how does that process work? Tell me, like, okay, so if I was to hire you to be a ghostwriter to tell my story of whatever, like, what do I do? Because you're telling me the outline and all that. I don't even know, like, where to get started.
Right. Well, it depends on every individual person. So everybody's different, and I work with your personality and what works for you. So for some people, we get together before COVID, face to face, and we sit down and we just talk. And I record it, and then I change that recording into a book. And I walk you through every step the whole way through. Other people, they prefer phone interviews, or they're too far away. I've worked with some people in the UK, and I've not been there in a long time. So we work over the phone or through video conferencing. Some people will just record their voice onto a voice recorder and then send me their recording, and I work with that, and then I'll send them questions back that they'll answer on the next recording. Some people will send me like their teachers or professors, because I have written some college level books before too. They'll send me their seminar notes, their classroom notes, their presentations, and I'll use those and then maybe follow up with some questions to them specifically. So it always depends on what you've got, what you're comfortable with, what works for you and your schedule.
I love that. And I have to give a shout out, Megan, as you can see in the chat.
Yep.
We have
I was
somebody
just about to say.
Go ahead, Megan.
that Wendy, you've already getting a lot of compliments here, especially one from Carlene, and she says she highly respects writers. They are able to skillfully paint with the stroke of words. And it almost sounds like Carlene is a writer herself, just by the accent.
As soon
Definitely
as
have some
I read
poetry
that,
there.
I was like, there's a book right there for you, Carlene. And by the way, can we just congratulate Carlene, because she's our Power Up Hero of Achievement. And by the way, y'all, she just won a car. Not won it. She earned a car just recently, like through her work. Like she just got a free car. Like
wow.
So she's amazing. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so she could have another talent, right? So she is the Power Up Hero of Achievement. She could also be a writer. So maybe, Carlene, there's a book inside of you. So let us know what the title is of the book, and maybe Wendy can start thinking about it for you. This is so exciting. So as we're moving into this show, I just want to let you know that we are affectionately calling you a Power Up Hero. So Wendy, in your own words, what does being a hero mean to you?
I always think of superheroes, you know, Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel, Black Panther. I've got a superhero in my head that I haven't written out yet. To me, I think a hero is somebody who is determined and dedicated to helping other people live their full life and experience freedom and happiness, and find that if they don't have it.
I like that. And I know you're a writer, because my pen can't keep up. Like every time I want to go write something, like you finished. So it's like quality over quantity of words, right? I love that. So a hero is, Megan, did you get it? A hero is somebody who's determined.
Determined?
Wendy, can you repeat that? I'm so sorry.
I'll try.
Yeah. And you know what? We'll have the playback anyway, but it was so good. You said it so well that I was like, man, we really need to like really seriously quote that, because you said it so well. And that is what a hero is. A hero is somebody who's determined and they really want to move ahead. But sometimes I think to myself, we're calling you the Power Up Hero of storytelling. And I always think that the reason why we like superheroes is because of their superpowers. So Wendy, you are the Power Up Hero of storytelling, what is your superpower?
I would say adaptability, empathy.
Tell us more. So adaptability is actually one of my 5. Well, actually, I retook the Strengths Finder, right? So Gallup has a Clifton Strengths assessment that you can do, and I redid it. And adaptability kind of dropped to number 6 for me, but it was always up there. It was always on number 3 for me. So I'm very in tune with adaptability. But tell me, what do you mean by adaptability and empathy?
Well, empathy is important when you're a writer, especially a ghostwriter, because you have to be able to put yourself in the shoes of the people that you're writing for and be able to capture their personality. And then adaptability is important because you have to be able to shift out of your normal way of thinking and be able to think in the way that they think and figure out where their story needs to go in order to really capture what they need to express out of their story.
Mm-hmm. Because it's not about you, right? It's about the person's story. And what if have you ever been in a situation where somebody's story just you didn't feel like writing the story? Because it almost sounds like that guy you mentioned. I don't know. It sounds like it was a difficult story to write, but maybe you've had worse pitches from people.
His was difficult to write. And it was definitely from a different viewpoint than I'm used to looking at, through a man's eyes who, he grew up not respecting women very much, obviously. So it was definitely a different perspective. It was difficult to write, but we did get a very quality book out of that experience. But I have had other clients that we tried to work on their project and it just wasn't going to work. Honestly, it's kind of been the same sort of client. The man who grew up without much respect for women, and so trying to work with me and take my coaching, he wasn't very open to it. In that case, I've got lots of friends who are also ghostwriters, and I was able to refer him to a male ghostwriter who he was able to work with much better.
Okay.
So, every once in a while you run across those where they just don't work.
Sometimes, and you don't. Go ahead, Megan.
I just have a question. So I'm sitting here thinking about I'm still way behind you guys. I'm thinking about what you were saying earlier about the tape recorder and the phone and all the different methods of how you try to get the story out of them. And I imagine myself giving you my story in like 10 minutes. And here you have to write maybe like a 200-page book. How do you find ways to get what might be a 10-minute story, maybe 20 minutes, and write 200, 300 pages?
There is always a story behind the story. There always is. So you might tell me in 10 minutes, you know, I went through these experiences and now I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, well, tell me more about those experiences. You know, what happened? What made you the person you are right now that made you make that choice? Because you had different choices to make along the way. And so at various different crossroads, what made you decide this way instead of that way? And by exploring that, you're able to unpack your story a little bit more. It becomes that 200-page book, if that's what we're going for. The most important thing, though, is to make sure that it's useful for your reader. Because while I'm serving you, you're serving your reader. And we have to make sure that both you and your reader are served. Unless you're working on one of those therapeutic books that may or may not get published.
Serving the reader.
I like that. And it almost sounds like, Megan, I like the question you asked, because it sounds like what we need to do is think about when we're telling our story, we have to pay attention to the forks in the road. Where did something happen and we had a decision to make? Maybe that's where this, you know, it's really like a story, because it's like, you know, those, I don't know whether you've, Netflix did this where they said, okay, you can watch this show, but you get to like say what happens next, right?
Yes, I remember that.
Yes, so that's kind of like this, right? So we should pay attention to decisions we make, because the story may be there, right?
Right.
Exactly. Life is a choose your own adventure kind of story. That's just how it works.
Oh, I'm loving this so much. Okay, so I'm loving this. I'm loving this so much, because I really feel like what you're saying is even if we made the wrong decision, right? That may be now the bigger story that needs to be told, right? Like, look, I had these choices and I went over here, and don't do that. Okay, here, read my book and learn how not to do that, right? Because we can learn from, I always say, like, you can learn from other people's mistakes, right? You don't have to make all the mistakes in the world so that you can learn that lesson. But Wendy, I don't know if you'll allow me, but I have a really amazing person who I want to just kind of prime. Hopefully she's going to be coming on pretty soon. But we have a young PowerUp hero kid who's actually published 2 books recently. Through COVID, she published 2 books, and we're so excited that she's going to be coming on the show. But I also want to prime this amazing guest that we have, because, you know, I have 3 kids, and I know that and having my newest son that I had really reminded me of how every kid's experiences are unique. Not everyone is the same. Not everyone sees everything the same, right? So all the kids, like, they all had a different way that they grew up. But I really feel like our kids understanding their unique experiences is really what's important, right? But being able to even tell their story through their experiences, can you imagine what that means? And so I'm so excited that our PowerUp hero has come on the show today. I'm actually going to bring her on as I introduce her, because before I introduce her, I want to tell you that her mom, first of all, was our very first PowerUp hero here on the PowerUp Hero Show. We launched this show in 2019, and we had the pleasure of having Zoraida Nones James as our PowerUp hero of science education. Her superpower was creativity, and you all know Zoraida because she has been she's graced the presence of these shows multiple times, but she's also the founder of an awesome organization called Gulf Reach. So it's no surprise that her daughter, Evelyn, has written an amazing book. So before I introduce Evelyn, I just want everybody right now in the comments, when you're watching right now, I need you to say congratulations, Evelyn, for writing your book, because Evelyn is a curious and imaginative 9-year-old right here with us in Corpus Christi. She loves the adventure she finds in books, nature, and science. Her inspiration for her books is, guess what, y'all? this character called Captain Paws, and it comes from her best friend Rocky, who is a rescue dog, and he has, I guess, as much personality and charisma as her friend. And I'm actually most excited because Evelyn began writing short stories not recently, right? So she started writing when she was in first grade. So this is really the culmination. These two books are the culmination of her creativity and her superpower coming out, right? And so she represents her school in state championships for storytelling. Wow. So she's really taking stories. So Wendy, this is a person who may end up with a career like yours. And one day she hopes to travel the world and write stories about her experiences and the amazing animals that she will meet. So welcome to our PowerUp Hero of Imagination, Evelyn James. Welcome.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. How are you doing? We're so excited that you're here with us. And actually, I knew you needed to be on the show because Wendy was going to be on the show, because when I knew that Wendy was a writer and you had literally just published 2 books, I heard about your 2 books last week. So we've kind of been like behind the scenes trying to make this happen. I knew you needed to meet Wendy because I knew that anytime that anyone does something for the first time, it's important for them to see somebody who's done it multiple times, because that's where you get your champions from. That's where you learn from. So tell us, Evelyn, how does it feel to be a published author?
It feels amazing, I guess.
Yeah. 2 books too. I mean, I'm challenging everybody watching right now. If you've written 1 book, great. 2 books. This young lady, this young woman, this PowerUp kid has written 2 books. So I want to ask you, what grade are you in now? Because you started writing when you were in first grade, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What grade are you in right now?
I'm in 3rd grade.
You're in 3rd grade, and I know we're calling you the PowerUp Hero of Imagination. So I know you were listening to the show earlier when we were introducing Wendy. So do you have an idea of what your superpower might be?
Imagination.
Ooh, I love that because of your creativity, right? And the way you think about things, right? So why don't you tell us a little bit about your book? Tell us about your book, and as you're doing that, I'll let people see a little taste of your book.
Okay, so Captain Paws is about my dog Rocky, who is about a stray dog who gets zapped and turns into mostly a super dog. So he helps other people and so like that.
I love it. I love it. So as we're looking through this book, you all need to know that we actually have this book available. So the way this all came around was, I think, Soraya, could you tell us? I think her friends wanted to buy this book, right?
Yes, so every Friday she really likes to do different presentations on animals, and she does her research. And this time, I didn't even know actually, Lisa, that she had taken it to school. So as we're coming out, I'm picking her up, and the kids are like, "Hey, I'm going to write a book too. Evelyn gave me an idea," and I had no idea. And so I asked her what you did. She's like, "Oh, I presented my books, and some of the students want to buy it." And so I just thought it was going to be like, I guess I can go to Kinko's and make copy. But then y'all know Lisa. We love Lisa, right? She's like, "No, we're going to do it." So you really gave us the idea and the inspiration to go further, right? To go further, do that extra step. Because the kids were, I love the fact that was the one thing that stood out to me as a mom, to see the other kids excited about reading and excited about writing. And, that's so important. I do STEM, but you can't do STEM without reading and writing. It's so, so important now.
I love that. And you know what's interesting is I just love seeing the pride in first of all, your daughter's face. She's like, "That's my mom talking." And then you're talking about her and you're so powerful. And I just have to say, like, I know everybody watching right now, hopefully you can join me in some congratulations for Evelyn. Soraya, you're an amazing mom to be able to inspire your daughter to be able to write a book. So congratulations, Evelyn. We're so proud of you. We look forward.
No, but she did well. That was something she did during the pandemic. She couldn't really go anywhere, so she had to go somewhere with her stories.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. And then I also have to plug in that part of her book. So if you we have an opportunity for you to buy her book, right? So her book is going to be on Amazon. It's getting approved by Amazon. So right now there's an option. When you get her book, there's actually a portion of her book where you can actually start writing your own book. So if you are an aspiring PowerUp kid who wants to write a book, there's going to be some information in there from Evelyn on how you can get started in writing a book. And then also, if you wanted to purchase or pre-order these 2 books, remember she wrote 2 books, you can go to the PowerUp Hero, you can go to the PowerUp Hero website and be able to buy the book right now. Actually, you can pre-order it before it hits Amazon. And the link is www.powerup.org/shop. Once again, it's www.powerup.org/shop. And you will be able to get Evelyn's books delivered to you. I'm so excited about this. I'm so pumped about it. Wendy, have you ever written a children's book?
I have, actually. I've written several. A couple about angels and how they work with kids and families to bring them all together. And I've worked with kids who are authors, and they started at about 9, and now they're full-time authors. So, Evelyn, keep going. You've got a future.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so we are definitely going to be super excited to see you next time, Evelyn, with your next book. Whenever you write your next book, every time you write a book, just know you're always welcome to come and launch your book on the PowerUp Hero Show. We will be promoting your book, so we make sure that everybody, anywhere and everywhere who wants to get your book will get access to it. All right?
Thank you.
I'm excited. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Raya, keep being super mom.
I'm sorry.
You're amazing. You're
She does a
amazing.
lot on her own. Thank you.
Evelyn, you're a superhero. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Wasn't that fun?
That was amazing. I love children writers. They're so full of energy, and they come up with the most amazing ideas. And I love that she did all her own illustrations in there. That was fabulous.
Carlene actually says congratulations to Evelyn, and I just saw that. And then we have her saying that was awesome. And by the way, can I just say something? It was important, I think, to kind of keep the authenticity of her book without having to retype it up and then have somebody do the artwork, because I think the beauty of it is seeing how organic it was, right? So you want to see the children's book as a real, her own book as a real book, because if she's really truly going to be the author that we think she's going to be, can you imagine her seeing her progression of her authorship? I think that would be fun to see in her career.
Absolutely. Yeah,
that'd be really fun to see. So we're going to jump into a little bit of fun for you now, Wendy, okay? So we're going to move into what we like to call the Fast 5 Finger Favorites. And what we do during the Fast 5 Finger Favorites is we actually ask our audience, whoever's watching right now, we ask you to also share what your favorites are so that we can be able to document what people like to do, what people like to enjoy, so that we can learn new things in our lives. So, Wendy, we're going to start right away with asking you, what is your favorite book?
This one's easy for me because it's been my favorite book since I was a little bitty kid. It's Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach. It's been around since late 1960s, and he updated it in 2013, I think. It's about
I've never heard of it.
Huh?
Have you heard of it, Megan?
No. Give us a snippet of what it's about.
Yeah.
Sure. It's a very short book, so it's really quick to read. It's actually a novella, and it's about a seagull who is just not the same as the rest of his flock. Everybody else is all about grabbing the closest food, whatever. It's all materialism. It's all consumerism.
Mm-hmm.
And this particular seagull, Jonathan, he loves to fly. And that's all he wants to do is fly. And the rest of the flock is just mad at him because he won't conform to what they want him to do, which is, scrabble for the food. He just wants to fly. And eventually he is ostracized from his flock, and he focuses on flying. And eventually he gets to a point where he can't fly any higher. He can't add any more tricks to his flight.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when 2 shining seagulls come out of the sky, and they start teaching him how to go to the next level. And so he goes to the next level, and he perfects that level. And then he goes to another level, and he perfects that level. And then he realizes that he really can't go to the next level until he goes back to his original flock and starts teaching them what he's learned. And so it's all about love and being who you are and being true to who you are and coming back to teach people what you've learned.
Oh my goodness. Okay, repeat
Kind of like
the
the
name.
show, Lisa.
I know. It is like exactly the hero's journey. I was thinking, oh my gosh, that's the point. You go on this heroic quest, you learn something, and then you come back like, I have the answer. Let me teach you all. What is the name of the book again? So I have it right.
It's called Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Okay, it's about a seagull, y'all. It's about a seagull. We will be learning all about seagulls after this. I'm going to get it on Audible so I can start tuning in. Okay, Wendy, fast 5 finger favorites. What is your favorite movie or something to watch?
This one's harder because I have so many. I mean, let's see. One of my favorites is What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams in it. That one's...
Have I seen that? It sounds like I've seen it. I will have to see it again.
I have seen it. You really got to pay attention. You really got to make the connections. One of those kinds of movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds like
that's what I liked about it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go see it again then. What is your favorite song or something to listen to?
I have struggled with this one too because I'm horrible at remembering song names, but it's the theme song for Pete's Dragon. I think it's called Wild by Lindsey Sterling.
My son likes Pete's Dragon, so he'll probably know what that is. And then, Wendy, what is your favorite quote?
That one I wrote down just in case because everybody always asks me that one. And it's actually from the book that I mentioned, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. It's you have the freedom to be yourself, your true self, here and now, and nothing can stand in your way.
Ooh, I love that. You have the freedom to be yourself. I love that. And, you know, I live this whole life of be the best version of yourself. Live the best version life that you want. So that's perfectly aligned with our show where we want everybody to be their best version. And speaking of that, the last Fast 5 Finger Favorites is all about our amazing power-up hero of storytelling, who is Wendy. And we are going to ask Wendy, whose superpower is adaptability and empathy. Wendy, how do you wake up in the morning? If you had the perfect day, how would you wake up to power up?
Well, I never use an alarm. So the time I wake up is always different. So speaking of adaptability, my day has to adapt to whatever time I wake up to. But usually my perfect day would start up with waking up, doing a quick stretch, followed by a 5 to 10 minutes of meditation. I do a walk outside if I can, because it's not raining or too cold. Then I sit down, write in my journal for maybe half an hour to an hour, do another walk to reset my brain, sit back down and work on my own writing for an hour, take another walk, and then get into my work for the day.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
I'm thinking about the half hour to an hour in the journal.
Okay, I even put a star on that, Megan. Because I was like, what? So you journal for an hour?
Half an hour to an hour. Yeah, it depends on what's on my brain.
I love it. So it's a true brain dump.
Yes.
Wow. Do you recommend that?
I do. It helps you reset for the day, know what's important for you for today, and get any junk out of your mind before you start your day. And then you can really focus on what you really wanted to do for the day. And then I usually end up journaling at night too, right before I go to bed, to again just reset, get rid of everything from the day. So I don't usually that's more like 15 minutes to a half hour.
Okay, so let me ask you, just for context, right? So just thinking through your day, so you don't wake up to an alarm. I don't wake up to an alarm either. I just kind of wake up when I wake up. I just happen to wake up early. So because you're doing the half hour or 1 hour of journaling, it's kind of nice that you're, I guess you could say, a freelancer, right? So you kind of work on your own time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My schedule is my own, so I get to set appointments when it fits my schedule. I usually set appointments for afternoons just to make sure I have the whole morning to do whatever I want to do, and to give myself time to write my own things, because that's important too. And when you're writing for other people all the time, you can start to feel like you're losing your voice a little bit, or you're losing yourself. And giving myself time to write my own things gives me time to recognize what's important to me at the same time.
Wow.
I have a question. So I don't do a whole lot of journaling, okay? I'm not gonna pretend like I do. I really don't. The things that I do are more like I'll have one thought and write it down. I'll have one profound thing that comes to my mind and I'll write that down. It's random things here and there. Because when I try to journal, I sit in front of the paper and I feel this overwhelming feeling of I have to write this beautiful, profound piece of art, and the words that are coming out just don't sound that great, and it just sounds so simpleton and blah. And then I get discouraged. So can you give us a little bit of tips about how we can, you know, beef up our journaling muscles here? Because I get in front of that paper and after a while I'm just like, okay, this is not working. I don't know what I'm doing.
I love Lisa's term earlier, the brain dump. Don't worry about making it perfect. Don't worry about making it beautiful. This is your journal. This isn't the book that you're going to publish. This is just for you. So if you need to write about how you spilled the milk this morning and it fell all over the counter and all over the floor, and you spent all morning just mopping up the floor, and how upset you are that that was what you did this morning instead of what you really wanted to do, go ahead and write that out. You know, it doesn't have to be beautiful. It doesn't have to be profound. It doesn't have to be deep. Just give yourself the chance to get to know you, because eventually that comes out. As you're writing about how you spilled the milk this morning, all of a sudden you find that you're writing about how frustrated you are about something else, and you end up finding solutions to those problems just in writing it out.
Wow. Give yourself a chance to get to know you. I like that a lot. Thank you for the tips. I'm gonna use that. Hopefully no spilled milk anywhere, but I'm sure other things will come up.
It's amazing the solutions you can find just in the random ramblings that you put in your journal.
And then you go back and read them like a year later and you're like, what? Really nuts, right?
You find the answers is the thing, is you have a problem that's been persistent in your life for a while, and it ends up in your journal, and just in writing it out, you're like, oh, that's actually an issue. And I have the solutions. I've had the solution all along, and I just didn't recognize it because I didn't think it through. But because you wrote it out and you gave yourself that freedom to explore the idea from whatever mundane, random piece of, you know, something weird that happened in your life, you discover those solutions were always there, and now you can put it into practice. So a year later when you're reading it, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. I'm so proud of myself. I fixed that problem right there and then.
Yeah, I love that you're saying that. So there's been so much social unrest recently that I ended up joining this group where we were doing empathy circles. And so when you said your superpower was empathy, I was like, oh, like I totally like want you in my life, but you're already in my life, so I'm happy. And
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, don't go anywhere. And one of the things that they said was write everything down, because I think the point was that what you're going through in the moment may seem like a mountain, right? It may seem like, I can't handle this. This is too much. Like, why is this going on? And then later you'll read it and realize that you overcame it, or things have been better, right? So the writing is again therapeutic. It's helpful, right?
Absolutely.
No matter what it is, however unperfect it is, Megan, you may not even want to write. You just want to like draw. Like sometimes I don't even write. I'm just like, no.
yeah. Doodling is journaling too. You know, I mean, whatever works for you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to ask Zoraida Nanas James, our PowerUp hero of science education, if she wants to come back on. So if you want to come back on, Zoraida, just let me know and we'll bring you back on the show, because she's private chatting with us because she's totally agreeing with you, Megan. She's so excited about the question you asked. I love the question you asked, right? About how can you really get into journaling? Free writing, I guess, right? So just kind of like doing that brain dump. And sometimes I think of the brain dump like, you know, when you watch Harry Potter and there's that time when he takes his memories, because there's too much memories, and puts them in the thing. I don't know whether you understand what I mean when I say that.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Potter. I don't know what it's called. What is it called again?
The pensieve.
Okay, I don't even know what it's called, but that's my vision. That's the vision I have in my head when I'm journaling is I need to journal because this is just the only way that I'm going to free my brain so I can get my work done. Welcome back, Evelyn, James, and Suraida. Welcome back.
Hi, ladies.
Yeah, so did you like that last question? The last question was really good.
I really like the last question. I mean, about journaling, Megan, you kind of hit that nail on the head. I'm not a good journaler, but the thing is, my first strength, Lisa, because I think we took the same test, is ideation. And so everyone is telling me you've got to write it down, and you can wake up with ideas. And like you said, just kind of brain dump. Mm-hmm. And I love, Wendy, that you said, I'm a perfectionist sometimes. So I was like, I have to erase and I have to do this, other. So I'm like, girl, just write. Like, nobody's going to read this. And the fact that you said that, and, you know, that allows us the freedom to just write what we have. We don't have to make everything come true or manifest, but at least we have something there that may not be there tomorrow. That was a super great idea.
Yeah.
And, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So, but my cousin's a big writer, and she's like, Suraida, you just need to write it down. She said, you don't have to do everything this year or today. Just write it down. She tells me that all the time, but you're amazing, Wendy. I've enjoyed just watching you, and I'm excited. I feel like I need to write a book too.
I already know you're going to get a bunch of best friends, Wendy, out of this because I am so excited. First of all, I have to say that I love your Instagram game. Okay, so I have to like cheer you on. You are all over Instagram, like the queen of Instagram. And I absolutely love Instagram for you because I feel like you've really found a space where there are people who may need to tell a story authentically, right? Without feeling like it's too salesy. You just want to be able to tell your story without feeling like you're shoving your product down people's throats. And so I absolutely love this great video that you have. So we'll just take a short little break before we end the show so that Wendy can tell you more about what she does. We'll be right back.
Are you a coach, consultant, speaker, or business leader? After the elevator pitch, do you find it challenging to explain exactly what you do for potential clients? Maybe you're left fumbling to explain the juicy bits that help you stand out from the crowd of other professionals in your space. If this sounds like something you've struggled with, I know exactly how to help. Hi, my name is Wendy Strain, and I am a professional ghostwriter and content creator. When you work with me, I can help you find your professional story. What could be better than that? Well, I will write your unique approach into a service-based book and develop one-of-a-kind marketing materials that will showcase the distinctive and knowledgeable professional you are. I take the burden of creating all of that content off your shoulders so you can focus on giving your clients the best of you without sacrificing the rest of you or blending into the template-using crowd. Message me here on LinkedIn to discover how having your own professional book can help your business grow.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Lisa Wisner, and I'm joined by
Megan Isasi.
And we're so pumped because we have the most amazing guest today. We have Wendy Strain, who is our PowerUp hero of storytelling. As you saw from that video, she is the woman to make things happen for you. And so we're so excited to bring her back on the show to just help us just figure out, how to really tell our stories better. But I think when we talked about your superpower being adaptability and empathy, it really truly is about being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, right? And being able to adapt, right? Adapt to their circumstances. So we want to thank you so much for being on the show today, Wendy, because I believe that stories are our future, right? So you have to, I guess, secure your place in the future by writing a story about yourself, right? And I don't mean to be morbid by saying this, right? If you don't want to be forgotten after it's all said and done, write a book.
Well, think about it, stories are our past and our future. That's the only way we learn is through stories.
Isn't storytelling like the reason why we know everything? Like, I think the Bible is just a bunch of stories, right?
Yep. Jesus's teachings are all given in parables, which are stories.
We love it. We love it. So, Wendy, as we're calling you the Power Up hero of storytelling, and you have already had a thriving career in your craft that you are passionate about, can you tell us, if you were to see yourself 5 to 10 years from now, what do you see?
Hopefully, I am helping more people at once with a coaching program that I'm about to launch, so I can help more people tell their stories than I have in the past. Usually, I can only work with 3, maybe 4 people at a time, and with the coaching program, I'll be able to work with many more people at a time. And at the same time, I hope to be writing more of my own stories and publishing them. I still have that superhero in my head. She needs to come out.
You know what's interesting is I saw your website link, which you have on there, Right Services LLC, but I know you as Right On, Wendy. I know you as that, right? So that's when I met you.
That one's coming back. That one has been dormant for a while, but it's coming back as a fiction site. I'll be sharing some flash fiction pieces, and as my fiction stories start coming out, that's where they'll be.
Well, you are also welcome back on the show anytime you want to relaunch anything or launch your own book. You're welcome to come back on the show and tell us about it, because we know that heroic stories is what this show is about, and we want to be able to celebrate you and be able to share the amazing stories that you're telling to everybody. So, Wendy, how can people get in touch with you?
The best way is to reach me through my website or email me, wendy@rightservicesllc.com. I'm also on LinkedIn. That's a good way to reach me. And I'm on Facebook a lot. So any of those methods.
I need to put your LinkedIn page up again, because I really feel like your LinkedIn game is really strong. You post really good posts. I mean, you're just really good at LinkedIn. I'm always on there like, oh my gosh, I need to be like Wendy. So somehow or another, you figured it out. And so if you're on LinkedIn, you need to connect with Wendy Strain. And if nothing else, she's blogging about the things that you need to do so that you can also be a published author in your life. So, Wendy, we want to thank you so much for being here with us today. And Megan, was there anything else maybe we want to ask or tell Wendy?
I'm just so glad that I know that she exists, because whenever you think about writing a book, it can be so overwhelming. Where do I start? How do I start? Writing your outline. I mean, everything about writing a book can be so overwhelming, and people like Wendy exist to take the stress off.
Yes.
Just let you tell your story, and then she's going to worry about everything else, it seems like.
Yeah. But you know what? You just made me think of something. What if somebody just didn't need you to help them write, but they needed your help to brainstorm? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like just to create the outline.
Absolutely. I'm here. And I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to have that conversation. I usually offer people a free consultation call just to get started. And if that works and that gets you primed and pumped and ready to go write your book, and you don't need to hire me, that's fine. That's great. Yeah. I love that. I love helping people move forward.
Okay, perfect. I know you helped me with an outline that turned into keynote talks. So I'm so excited that even though I didn't end up writing a book, it ended up being the stories that I was telling about myself. So I want to thank you so much for that, Wendy. And with that, we just want to thank you so much for being here on the show. And we want to, again, congratulate you on being our Power Up hero of storytelling. And we hope that you will continue to use your superpowers to make the world a better place.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I've really enjoyed talking with you, and I'm always happy to get new friends. So.
Fantastic. Well, we know Evelyn's going to be a friend of yours because she's going to be writing. So there's a career in that. And I always say you need to stay close to your champions. So you may be a champion for her. Thank you so much, Wendy. Bye.
I'd love to stay in touch. Bye-bye.
For sure. Megan! Oh my gosh. Yeah. Everybody wants to write a book. I think I haven't ever met anybody who did not want to be a published author. So
well, if you had met somebody, now that we know Wendy, there's literally no excuse.
Yes.
Because she's pretty much going to take care of most of it for you.
Yes.
You sit there, brainstorm with her, and whatever you don't know how to say or what else you should say, it sounds like she's going to drag it out of you.
It sounds like she's going to fill in the gaps, or even kind of go, okay, I know you said this, but is there something you're not telling me?
Yep, exactly.
And do you kind of like how she's so like calm.
Yes.
I feel like I would really enjoy working with her because she would keep me centered and keep me on Earth, right? Because I sometimes fly into outer space.
And that's probably part of her gift of empathy, is trying to be able to be open-minded and calm and inviting, so that you are more open to want to share the nooks and crannies of your life.
We definitely need that type of a superhero. We need more superheroes like that. And you know who she reminds me of? She reminds me of Chris Roel. Remember Chris from Toastmasters?
Yes.
Yeah, he's like that too, right? And he likes to write too. I don't know how many books he's written, but he's also like that, where he can see and hear and then equals a solution or something, right? So there's many people who have that skill. Maybe somebody watching right now has that skill where they don't even know it, but they are a writer, right? They have that empathy and they have adaptability in them, and they can become maybe our next power-up hero of storytelling. Super excited that that we had that amazing guest, and I'm super excited you were here. You asked such amazing questions, but I want to just recap. You know, I love recapping for everybody. So we recapped our power-up hero of storytelling. The woman is determined. But one thing I noticed was her almost her unapologetic stance in writing. Like from when she was young, she knew she wanted to be a writer, and it wasn't like anything was gonna get in the way. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. From the beginning of the strawberry.
What? Oh, Megan, you got it right there. From the beginning of the strawberry, which I love strawberries, and like I always think of that movie, like what is it called? The one with the meatballs. What is it called? Anyway, there's a movie out there where the food comes to life. Somebody in the chat, let us know what that movie is called. And the strawberry is so cute in that movie. So when she said that she wrote a book about a strawberry, I couldn't help but think of that movie and how cute that strawberry was in that book. But yeah, I want to read that book. If she can remember what that story was, she should write it as a kid's book, right? So that we can all remember that. But we have to have, so if we would like to be the power-up heroes of storytelling, we need to be adaptable. We need to be able to be empathetic.
Yes.
And also maybe pay attention to people's forks in the road. So where are your decision points? Whenever you make a decision, where you make a decision is probably where the story is that people need. I am definitely getting that book about Johnston Livingston Seagull. I'm like, what? This seagull is trying to fly. And tons of other things that I have written down. Did you have anything impactful that you might want to share?
I am definitely reading Jonathan Livingston Seagull. She said it was a short read, and I'm all about the short reads. Yeah. And it sounds like it has a really great storyline, so that's going to be good. And I also have the same thing: determined, empathy, adaptability. I love that she dabbles in fiction a little bit because her and Evelyn probably have that imagination.
Yes.
And I think imagination is so important, just like even in just your everyday life.
Yeah.
It's how you're able to be creative. It's how you're able to find solutions, think critically sometimes when you can't find those solutions. So dabbling a little bit in that fiction side is super awesome.
Yeah. And I just want to pull up the, I mean, how amazing is it that Evelyn was able to write a book, right? So I want to bring that back for us so that we can be able to see that you can actually go and buy Evelyn's book on our PowerUp shop. So go to powerup.org/shop and you'll be able to, I guess, pre-order her book so that you can be able to get it once it hits the Amazon store. Okay, so go ahead and pre-order the book. It's $10. And let me add it to the stream. There we go. This book, actually, there's two books. So there's one called Captain Paws and the Attack of the RoboCat 2000. This is the second book. The first one is Captain Paws. Let me pull up the first one. The first one is Captain Paws, the beginning of Captain Paws. And I'm going to give you a hint. He gets zapped, okay?
Oh, you've already read it.
I've already read all these books. I know. Not only have I read them, I have loved on them. So I'm just super excited about these books, and I can't wait for other people to be able to unpack this story that that we learned about from Evelyn, because she really does talk about how you just once you realize what your superpower is, then you use your superpower for good. And so so she's done a great job, and I see a series. I totally see a series on how Captain Pause helps the world make it a better place. So Megan, you are doing just that in our world. Not only do you make my world a better place, I know you're making the world a better place, not only where you work, but also for your family and friends. So Megan, I want to thank you so much for being here on the show today.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're most welcome, Megan, and we'll see you next week.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
That was Megan Isasi, my Megan, in case you're wondering. And if you're listening to this show right now, if you're watching this show, I want to thank you so much, because part of being on this show is making sure that you understand how valued you are. But I also want to ask you, I have a big ask. If wherever you are watching, I need you to subscribe. So whether you're watching on YouTube, on Periscope, or whether you're listening on Stitcher or wherever you're listening, please subscribe to the show. We want to make sure that you don't miss any of the stories that we're telling. If you want to find out more about the Power Up hero that we just interviewed, you can go to our Power Up Hero page, which is www.poweruphero.org. Again, it's www.poweruphero.org. And if you know a role model in our community who deserves to be featured on the Power Up Hero show, go to that same website, www.poweruphero.org, to nominate them or nominate yourself, because I'm in the era of you are remarkable and you should be free enough to know how amazing you are, and be bold, be that hero, and nominate yourself to be a Power Up hero, because we want your positive attitude. We want your commitment to being a hero in our community on this show. So again, visit our website, www.poweruphero.org. We want to tell your story here today. Once again, I'm Lisa Wisner, and be sure to subscribe to our show on anything you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, LinkedIn. So excited to be on LinkedIn. Also Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Amazon Music. Thank you, Amazon, for featuring the Power Up Hero show. We really, truly appreciate you. And also Alexa. So if you want to hear the Power Up Hero show through your Alexa, just say, Alexa, play the Power Up Hero podcast, and she will play it for you. So anywhere and everywhere that you listen or watch, you can find the Power Up Hero show. We hope that you are educated, we hope you are inspired, and we hope you are motivated to be a Power Up hero in your life, not only for our community and the community that you serve, but also for the teams that you are at work with, for your family, your friends, for your own career, for your life, but most importantly, for yourself. Because our world needs heroes today more than ever before. I hope you will take this message today that we learned from Wendy, all about being a Power Up hero of storytelling, and be able to see how your life is literally an epic story that we all need to hear about. And maybe it's time for you to tell your story. So make it a powered up day. Bye.